Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of the Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm as always your host, Air the Ohio Patriot, and for today's episode, we are going to talk about how Democrats are now staging terrorist attacks themselves, how they're also committing Stochastic terrorism, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is basically how they'll make all these veiled threats is what it is. And then, of course, you'll have some crazy leftist nut out there who will then commit said threats and make them into actual actions, and terroristic stuff is what it is then. And that is the problem with this kind of stuff. This is the problem with not shutting down these people in power or running for power, etc., like your Elliot Forhan types, because these are the people that should already be in state prison many years ago for deprivation of rights under color of law is what it is. They are the gun grabbers, they are the anti-gunners, they are the piece of shit leftists that are bought and paid for by Michael Bloomberg and his fucking mom's man action groups, etc. there. They are literally taking bribes to run for office. They're taking bribes while in office to push gun control, etc., etc. And enough is enough of it is what it is, man. It's fucking disgusting. It is completely unconstitutional. They're complete and total oath-breaking pieces of shit, and they need to be in fucking prison is what it is right now. So, and of course I got into it last night with some leftist tranny nut on X over the whole thing, because I was calling out current Ohio AG Dave Yost to indict Forhan for terrorism and everything else he's done at this point, which, by the way, for those who don't know, Elliot Forhan, who I actually thought was still in our General Assembly, but apparently he got beat. He was actually, mind you, this guy was the incumbent in 2024. He literally took third, getting 12 something percent of the vote is what it was like 12.02% of the vote or something like that, in a race where he was the incumbent in it. That shows how much of a fucking insane psychopath this guy actually is, and why he really should have been in prison between 2023 and 2024 while he was in the General Assembly. They should have kicked his ass out. They should have banned him for life for holding office in the state ever again, and going from there. And this is the problem I have with politicians in general. This is the problem I have with politics in general at a state level, at a federal level, even at a local level for that matter, is you have these fucking lunatics that have no business holding office at all in this country, and yet they are voted into office by the most insane voter base possible that shouldn't even have voting rights in this country at all for that matter, because it should be locked up in a nut house someplace is what it is. And then so you'll have the most psychotic lunatics vote in the most psychotic fucking candidates they can find, basically. And then what do these people do immediately? They turn around, they attack your gun rights, they attack my gun rights, they attack every piece of the Bill of Rights pretty much, from First Amendment to Second Amendment to Fourth Amendment rights, etc. And then you'll sit there and you'll have a conversation with one of these baseline people that claims to be Democrat voter or some, unaffiliated or whatever the case be, like a Yankee Marshall type basic is the way I'm thinking about it right now. But they're so fucking mentally gone in the head that they don't understand that, yes, this is the problem, dude. Like, your side of the history is the fucking problem is what it is right now. And the only way to fix this is to have, like, serious mental health issues be addressed. And what needs to happen, honestly, is it needs to be some 1950s, like, shock therapy to people's fucking heads against what it is then, dude, for real. Like, take a fucking needle and like shove it in their eye and fucking knock it with a hammer and lobotomize their asses. Like, that's what it needs to be at this point, honestly, for a lot of these fucking people, because they are so far fucking gone in the head that the only way to truly save this country is to basically make them invalids, essentially, because anything less is, they're gonna go do some Stalin shit is what it is, dude. They're gonna go do some Hitler shit is what it is then. They're going to go do some Mao shit, Because that's the thing. Like, I love how all these people on the left keep trying to compare the right side of history to Nazis while they're doing all this Nazi shit is what it is, dude. They're actually doing the fascist stuff that they're claiming that, and it's all projection, by the way. This is what it is. It's all projection. It's all fucking slander. It's all lies is what it is, because it's everything that they are doing themselves. And it's everything that every past dictator in world history has done before they've committed genocide. You look at Stalin, you look at Mao, you look at Hitler, you look at all these fucking terrorist regimes, you look at Pol Pot, you look at Che Guevara, etc., Muradu, all these people like that, all these dictators throughout American history and world history. every single time before they enacted a shitload of genocide and mass murdered a bunch of people, they always took the guns first. And that's exactly why you're seeing the attacks that we're seeing right now in Virginia from fucking Bangladeshi and foreign nationals that are holding office in that state, which why the fuck are we allowing people from Bangladesh to even run for elected office in the first place is my question, let alone ever hold office in this country, or any foreign national for that matter, or any immigrant for that matter, because they're all fucking traitors to this country, dude, for real. They are all the biggest piece of shit fucking traitors to this nation. They should never be allowed to hold office in this country. Their children should never be allowed to hold office in this fucking country. And it's that fucking simple, honestly. You know, you shouldn't even have Ilhan Omar types in fucking power right now. They shouldn't even be allowed to be in this country at all because they're followers of fucking Islam, dude. Islam should have been literally banned for life from U.S. soil on 9/12/2001, the day after 9/11. And the fact that it wasn't is the exact problem with our nation right now, because it's basically been since then, it's been since about 2002, 2003, place in there, is when you've had every Islamic follower that currently exists in America come into America through various bullshit, whether it be under Bush, whether it be under Obama, whether it be under Biden, etc. there, dude. You've had all these terror cells be brought into our country. You've had all these fucking terrorists be brought into our country. And you wonder why there's this, you know, $9 billion fraud that they've uncovered already. I guarantee it's more than that, by the way. There in Minnesota, I guarantee there's at least that much going on here in Ohio, and the Somali communities too, for that matter, and the Islamic communities too, for that matter. And the issue there is it's all going to fund terrorism. It's all going to fund terrorism both in the United States and overseas, for that matter. You know, there's a reason why specifically the district that Ilhan Omar represents there in Minnesota, which is the biggest Somali terrorist hotbed in America, is outside of the third world countries where Islamic terrorism exists. That is the biggest terror cell right there. So why the fuck are they even on Earth right now? Why the fuck are they even on this country's soil, let alone being on Earth at this point, honestly, dude? Like, that's the problem. Like, Islam should have already been taken off the map completely is what it is right now. And if it was, we would be much better off as a country. And I find it very interesting, too, flipping into our first story of the day, which is Ilhan Omar's stage attack on herself, what it is there. So you basically, it was, I believe, last night at town halls when it happened. You had her clearly plant some dude in the crowd where she was at the podium. This dude is literally right in front of her, like he's front and center. He was actually shown on the camera before she even got up to go speak, as it was then. Because the dude was like swirling a bottle of water. He looked like he was like Forrest Gump type of dude, or whatever the case be, like really low IQ motherfucker. And she like, you can tell there's like, she's like talking, you can tell she's like that, like doing like a nod like towards him, whatever, like go ahead and do it now, whatever. And then all of a sudden he gets up, shoots a syringe of something at her, which I assume is some kind of water or something probably. But everybody in the crowd was like, oh, it smells gross or whatever. I mean, hell, for all they know, like, given that they're all a bunch of fucking Islamic followers and stuff like that, it's probably bacon grease or something in that syringe. But it's interesting because when you watch the actual video, especially from the one angle, the dude like sprays her. She literally walks into being sprayed, and then he like hobbles over into the arms of her security guard guy that's getting up, who's like basically Old Man Winter essentially, or like Father Time or something like that. He's really old, dude, is what it was. So really just look really old anyway on the videos I saw. But and then of course she went on this whole tirade of like, oh, these fuckers aren't gonna win or whatever the case be, like fuck that or whatever. And it's like, no, bitch, you're not gonna fucking win. We will out you for the stuff. We will put you in prison. We will deport your ass is what it is. Which really at this point, like, Omar must be deported, dude. Like, she must be kicked out of Congress. She must be deported for life from this country. She must be exiled for life from this country. And the same thing with Rashad Tlaib. The same thing with all these other fucking Islamic scum that's in our political system right now is what it is now. So, but yeah, so that was number one for the day. Second thing I want to talk about for today is that piece of shit Elliot Forhan, who is, let me get the Breitbart up here. Who is this jerk off right here? who is trying to run for AG of the state of Ohio right now in the coming election cycle here in May. And literally said he was going to kill Trump if he gets into power. Ironically enough, so he was basically going to try to capital punishment and try to kill him that way is what it was. Interestingly enough, since I called out Dave Yost and stuff, who's the current AG, Yost actually came out last night with his own statement, basically indicating that everything that Forhan is trying to claim in that video is impossible. You cannot have an attorney general of the state indict a president, etc., on crimes like that, unless they are invited in by, I believe it is some kind of other. It would basically be like the AG of federally, is what it is, if I'm not mistaken. So, or like something like, I don't know if it would be like an AG. I don't know if it would be like the federal AG, or if it would be maybe like a what do you call it now, like a circuit court or like a Supreme Court or something like that kind of ruling or whatever it is then. So I think it would have to be like a court ruling for sure though. But yeah, the whole point is though is Elliot is committing what is called Stochastic terrorism, which is when a public figure uses hostile or coded language that encourages violence while leaving themselves open to deny responsibility. And how it actually works is you got a speaker who uses demonizing rhetoric the way Elliot did. The listener, being some psycho leftist, then feels vindicated and acts on said violence. The result is unprecedented acts of violence. So this is the problem entirely. And the thing is, Elliot's not the only one who's done that kind of terrorism either. There are several others who have done it in the past couple of weeks now too. Actually, I wouldn't say past couple of weeks, about the past 7 days or so, give or take now. Which is, let me see if I can find the things right now. So you had a current sitting congresswoman, and by the way, I want to talk about these two women. There's a current sitting congresswoman, there's a current state rep from Colorado, both of which are of Iranian descent. I believe their parents were the ones that were let into this country, and then they gave birth to these kids on a U.S. soil, making them American citizens / anchor babies is what it is. And so the first one being this psycho bitch right here, whose name is Yasmin Ansari. She is a Democrat from Arizona. I guarantee she cheated her way into office, by the way, through voter fraud. She was with a bunch of anti-ICE protesters. This was on the 25th. This was 3 days ago. Trying to get illegals to stay in the U.S. instead of helping Americans. She's spending U.S. tax dollars to help illegals. And then the second one was this psycho bitch right here, Yara Zarecki, I think is her pronounce her name. She is a Democrat state rep from Colorado, urging followers to join the Colorado ICE Rapid Response Network, similar to Minnesota's Signal group chats, to coordinate the doxing and harassment of ICE agents. And what's interesting about her is it was like a year or so ago. She was, I think it was sometime last year actually, when they were doing gun control in Colorado. She was on the Colorado House floor dressed like a Texas prostitute, basically, with her weird little thigh-high boots. And like seriously, like, this is a fucking state rep. Like, are you kidding me, bro? And she's not the only one from Colorado that's done shit like that in the past week or so here. There's also another one that was a TikTok video that came out where it's a second woman from Colorado who I'm not sure if she's also Iranian descent or if she's like some kind of other foreign national type or whatever the case be, who came out and pretty much did the same thing, where she's basically encouraging these people to go join like terrorist cells is what it is. And this is the entire problem with our country right now is what it is that you have these fucking lunatics walking free is what it is then. And then also from the TikTok today, I found this on Facebook a little bit ago, which was, let's see if I can pull this up real quick. This is from the AV Report, who was posting this, where it was Meet Melissa, a healthcare worker at the UVC Health. She posted a series of videos encouraging people to inject ICE agents with Soquelitinib, a temporary paralysis drug, to which they would then spray poison on them. She also encourages women to go on dates with ICE agents and drug their food. Like, seriously, why are these fucking people still walking free, dude? Like, why are they in fucking federal prison right now for terrorism charges when they're obviously committing terrorism, which is inciting violence for political means, is what it is. Like, it's just completely insane. Like, our society has gone completely fucking psychotic. And I guarantee the reason why is what I mentioned the other day when I had my Smirnoff epiphany, which is basically, it's all Democrats in power right now, dude. Like, every side of political history right now is Democrats. You have Trump and MAGA that are fucking 90s Democrats. And then you have the 2026 psychotic lunatics that should be a mental institution Democrats. So it's literally Dems fighting Dems under different names. And this is exactly why our society's gone to shit. When you have a single political party in power, it basically creates this unity party. So, and then of course you got Hollywood jumping on this whole thing. You had psycho cunt Molly Ringwald, 80s star, come out and say, if you support Trump's fascist policies, you'll be found guilty of treason when leftists take over. Which is exactly why we'll never let you fuckers take power again, bitch, without a civil war or revolution happening before that. Like, that's exactly what's going to spark it off, honestly, shit like that right there. It's that kind of rhetoric, it's that kind of encouragement. And I find it very interesting, too, because you have these leftists that keep talking about fascism this, fascism that, yet fascism itself was never a left or right thing, yet of course they've tried to redo that now. They're trying to rewrite history now to claim it's right-wing political stuff, even though it's been used mostly by the left in history, throughout world history, whether it be Hitler types, whether it be Stalin types, whether it be Mao types, etc., to do things. And what's interesting to me too is that you have people now who are like, oh, well, why are ICE doing like the taxes they're using right now to like deport these people and stuff like that? And they've only deported like, 1 million something is what it is right now, compared to what they claim with Biden, Obama, etc., where they're claiming they deported like, tens of millions, basically. It's like, because they never deported those fucking people. Like, do you not understand that? Like, that's why we never saw the shit in the streets under Democrat administrations, because they never fucking did it. What they did is they opened the floodgates to our southern border and let these motherfuckers in, and then brought a bunch of other motherfuckers in and planted them into various red states to turn those states purple, or they put them in Democrat states to make them even more Democrat. So you could have Democrats committing voter fraud in every single election cycle since like 2014, so that they could then turn around and have a bunch of Democrats in power, is what it is. And that's exactly what I've said before. Like, honestly, the best way to fix this country right now is every single Democrat currently in office at a federal level gets kicked the fuck out of office right now. And until they can prove that they did not commit voter fraud, allowing election audits, then they don't get back in power, is what it is then. And those seats go bye-bye forever if that be the case then. Like, that's how you do that shit, honestly, dude. That's how you fix this country and turn it back to the constitutional republic it was built as. And it's that simple, literally. So, but yeah, going back to the Omar story for a minute here. This was the photo that was taken of the guy with the little syringe, is what it was. Actually, looking at this syringe now, it does look kind of yellowish, so I'm guessing it probably was like some kind of like bacon grease or something like that, because it wasn't an accelerant for sure, dude. Because that's the thing, like, if you actually watch the video, had that been like lighter fluid or gasoline or whatever the case be, any kind of accelerant, basically, that dude had more than enough time where he could have sprayed her ass with that shit and then pulled a Zippo out or some matches or something like that, lit him up, and she would become a Somali Human Torch at that point. The fact that there was nothing done besides that just shows how staged that was, dude. So, but yeah, it's all a bunch of fucking jokes is what it is, dude. Yeah, and of course you had fucking stupid cunt Omar falsely claim on X last night, I'm a survivor, so this small agitator isn't going to intimidate me from doing my work. Bitch, you are literally a Somali terrorist who's part of the Black Hawk Down terrorism that killed a bunch of American soldiers. The fact that you were ever let into this country, the fact that your piece of shit fucking family's ever let into this country is the exact problem. Because their asses were literally the regime that was being regime changed when the Black Hawk Down incident happened back in the 90s. And she was a child soldier at the time under her father, and they were both responsible for the whole Mogadishu fight back, basically, is what we want to call it there, where they were basically shooting at a bunch of American soldiers and killing a bunch of American soldiers in the process. And that is exactly why Omar herself right now should be charged with every single death that happened then. Like, everybody that was killed in the Black Hawk Down rescue, Omar should be charged with their deaths at this point, dude. And she should be death penalty for that alone is what it is right there. And either put in an American prison or removed from this country for life is what it is. So, anyway. Then, of course, you got stupid rhino cunt Nancy Mace being like, oh, I'm so disturbed to learn what happened to Omar. It's like, yeah, it's called a fucking staged attack, bitch. And this is what I said. Like, I literally called this shit, like, what was it, like a week or two ago now? Where I specifically said, you are going to see political terrorism happen this election cycle. You're going to see, most likely, Democrats stage shit on themselves and then proceed to basically kill a Republican for real is what it is, or vice versa, where it's a Republican dies first in some attack like Charlie Kirk style, and then you're going to have Democrats basically stage a bunch of shit like that on themselves where they survive it. So, this is pretty much what we're seeing right now is what it is days later. But, anyway. Moving on from that, I got a couple more things I want to talk about today, which is going back to real, actual threats and terrorism and stuff like that in this country. You have, quote unquote, I hope your wife dies, ICE agents. Their families are now facing 8,000% increase in death threats, and people wonder why they wear masks. Right? People wonder why they're not wanting to be doxxed, why their families don't want to be doxxed is what it is there, dude. Because that's the thing. The ICE agent who shot Renee Good, which, by the way, was a good shoot, that dude's entire extended family was doxxed and threatened with death by these psychotic leftist nuts that shouldn't even be walking free right now. And you're talking about anything from, like, a 5-year-old child to, like, a 35 or 40-year-old man to, like, a 60-something-year-old dude. Or older. You know, it could have been like 85-year-old grandpa was one of the ones that was targeted with that shit. It's just ridiculous what it is, dude. Like, and this is the problem, dude. It's all the terrorist left at this point. It's all the terrorist left not being dealt with by the 90s Democrat left that are calling themselves MAGA is what it is. So, it's very fucking infuriating, man. It really is. And then you got this. Minnesota jails refuse to hand over hundreds of illegal aliens to ICE every single year. And that was a fact check that was proven true the other day. So, for some reason, this earlobe right here has been hurting the last few days. I don't know if it's because I was wearing my headphones and falling asleep in the last couple of days, or if it was because I have like a sort of swimmer's ear right now, or if it's something else for that matter. So, I don't think it'd be swimmer's ear though, because I think it would hurt like just be painful whenever, and not like painful just to me touching it then. So, but anyway, it is what it is. So, moving back to the last story I want to talk about today, which is another thing from Twitter. It was from the 26th. That would be 2 days ago. For those that don't remember, there was a bunch of high schools around America that were basically being encouraged to do walkouts and stuff like that. So there was one in Georgia, and we're going to watch this video. It's about a minute long or so. It's being revealed that the Georgia high school where students staged a mass anti-ICE walkout only has a 6% math proficiency and only 16% reading proficiency. This is on the left-wing faculty. Disgusting. Also not shocking, though. This is what this Eric dude said, which is true. And when you look at the actual kids that are walking out of this high school, like you can tell why. It only has a 6% math proficiency and less than 1 in 5 of them can actually read. So we got some light-skinned blacks, some light-skinned Latinos, some darker-skinned black kids, a bunch more Latino kids, a bunch more black kids, a couple whites in there, maybe a couple Asians in there. Yeah, you can see exactly why. It's all a bunch of retarded minorities that it is, dude. And I guarantee you, if you actually went and did a search of these kids' parents, there's probably a lot of single mothers in that mix, and there's probably a lot of welfare queens in that mix, is my guess. They're taken from the system. And the reason I want to point that out, obviously, is because when you look at who the 2 biggest net losses to the entire welfare system are right now, it is blacks at the very bottom and Latinos just above them. And then you wonder why you have less than 1 in 5 of these kids being able to read, and less than 1 in 20 of them, or roughly right around 1 in 20 of them, can actually be proficient in mathematics. And it's because you have an entire generation of kids being groomed by left-wing indoctrinators to push left-wing bullshit and create an entire generation of useful idiot activists, is what it is, that then become actual terrorists in this country. And this is the problem that creates idiocracy. This is why you have idiocracy being a reality in this country right now. You know, I find it very interesting when you look at the actual movie Idiocracy that was created many decades ago now. It's about, 20-something years ago or so now. Because in that version of it, it was supposed to be like dumb white people, like basically trailer park trash, essentially, that were the ones that populated and created like the dumbest people on earth or whatever. When in reality, it's all the fucking, blacks, Latinos, etc. there that are a bunch of low IQ dumb fucks that are just continuing to have a bunch of dumbass kids, etc., etc. And those dumbass kids are getting dumber and having kids. And now we're 2-3 generations down the line, and you have these kids that are barely like above retardation levels of IQ. So, in a lot of cases, the ones that we're importing from places like Somalia are under retarded levels of IQ, because the average IQ there is like 67 or something. So 67, 68, somewhere in there. So it's like, yeah, dude, like no wonder we're, dumbed down as a country, because when you have all these fucking Democrats just want a piece of shit retarded voter base of low IQ morons, they are importing the biggest third world problems they can find into America that should be a first world country, and it's now being created into a third world country is what it is now. So, yeah, I honestly think the only way that we fix this shit is some kind of civil war happening right now, dude, and a lot of dead people is what it'll be then. Because, truthfully speaking, like, that's exactly what's going to have to happen very soon. And if it doesn't, like, our society's done completely. So, and I honestly think, like, it might not even take a civil war right now. It might just take day after tomorrow kind of shit, honestly, which is what we're kind of seeing right now happening. Because we already got hit with one storm, and now we got this coming up now. It's one storm after another for much of the U.S., but the next one's path is uncertain. Winter's brutal grip on the U.S. East is not letting up, and coming days bringing sub-freezing temperatures that will plunge deep into what had been a toasty Florida peninsula and a powerful blizzard forecast that may strike the Atlantic coast. Deep cold is forecast to stick around at least into the first week of February. Meteorologists are also watching what could become a, quote, bomb cyclone, a quickly intensifying storm that's a winter version of a hurricane, forming off the Carolinas Friday night into Saturday. And, quote, a major winter storm appears to be coming to the Carolinas, said meteorologist Peter Mullenix of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administrative Weather Prediction Center. I feel like there's like a anagram for that, but I can't remember what it is offhand. Because it'd be NOAAWPC, I think, maybe, or something. Like they made up a word for it, is what it is, though. So anyway, so the storm could dump snow at least 6 inches with whiteout conditions in the Carolinas, southern or northern Georgia, and southern Virginia. After that, it could turn and plow through the Interstate 95 corridor late Saturday into Sunday to dump loads more snow from Washington to Boston, further paralyzing much of the country, or it could deliver a glancing blow, mostly striking places like Cape Cod. Hopefully that's the case, actually. Alternatively, it could just veer off harmlessly into the sea. Meteorologists and forecast models aren't yet settling on a single outcome. Hopefully it's either just like snaps, it like, just like swipes Cape Cod, or maybe just goes straight into the ocean. But I mean, knowing what we're seeing now, dude, like I wouldn't be surprised if it hit everything is what it is then. So I know it was like negative 22 out here yesterday, and it's still cold as fuck today is what it is. So actually, let me check my phone right now. We'll see exactly what the cold ass temp is. So there, let me see. What does it say it is right now? Yeah, it's claiming it's now 10 degrees and the real feel is -4. And within the next hour, it's going to go down to 9, and then 8, and then 7, and then 6. And then by 9 o'clock tonight, it'll be 5 degrees, and we'll have a 20% chance of snow. And by 1 a.m., it'll be 4 degrees. And that 20% chance is continuing from, well, it starts at 8 tonight, is a 20% chance, and that continues on through, looks like all day tomorrow, pretty much. Yeah, literally all the way through 6 o'clock tomorrow night. And we'll be seeing 0 again then. So that's exactly why I got the throw on. That's exactly why I got the long sleeve thermal on. That's exactly why I got my little throw on. This is exactly why I got my blanket over here from the bedroom. That is a thermal that I've been sleeping in the chair with for the last 2 days. Because I'm not going to freeze to death in this whole crazy ass deal. Getting like weird text about GLP-1 stuff. Anyway, but yeah, it's definitely, it's going to get bad, man. So I will do a Freedom Friday episode on Friday. I just don't know exactly what it'll be about, though. Probably this storm, honestly. I'm not sure if it was my neighbor guy from A, or if it was if it was somebody else last night, but it was about 10:30, 10:45 last night. I heard a snowblower coming through, and I looked outside. I'm like, what? Because at first I'm like, what the fuck is that sound? Why am I hearing like an engine like outside? And yeah, there was some dude that just like walked by the path and like was creating a path in the sidewalk with a snowblower. So I'm assuming it was the guy that lives in A, whose parents live around here. I'm assuming he borrowed his father's snowblower is what it was, and then proceeded to just make a pathway around our set of units is what it is then for everybody. So, which was nice of him. A little bit late to do it though, is what it was. Like I was like, yeah, dude, it's like 45 minutes past quiet hours. What the fuck are you doing? Like, and the crazy thing was, it was like I could have turned my light on for him to like have light and stuff like that if it was him doing it. But yeah, he was just doing it, and apparently he had like a little headlamp on his cap or whatever. Then I'm just like I'm like thinking to myself like, why wouldn't you do this in the daytime, bro? Like even if you're gonna go, if you have to go to work, like like a couple hours before that or whatever the case be, just get up and do it then or whatever. Why would you do it like middle of the night like that? The only thing I could think is maybe he was working later at the factory or whatever last night, and then he came home, and then it was like, oh yeah, I probably should do all these, this whatever the case be then or whatever. But I don't know. Like I said, that's even if it was him, I don't know if it could have been my landlord or not. I don't think it was the landlord though doing it, because I'm pretty sure from everything I was told by Clint there that he like all the snow stuff is on the tenants to do that. So I'm guessing it was him doing it then for us. So, but yeah, I was still like, bro, like what the fuck, you know? So as it is, I was supposed to be getting stuff in today that's supposed to be coming tomorrow. Now is what it is. So hopefully the USPS is smart enough to actually drop it at my door then instead of at the fucking mailbox, because I know I got to get stuff out of the mailbox still, because I got some knives that have been sitting there for like several days now. They better still fucking be in there. That's all I gotta say about it. So instead of putting that at my door the other day, they put it in the damn mailbox again. So I'm assuming those are pretty cold right now. Hopefully they didn't crack or anything like that in the coldness of this negative 20s and stuff like that real feel, because obviously the box itself would be, you know, metal, and then most likely it would be a little Amazon bag in there, and then it would be the actual boxes the knives are in then. So hopefully they're pretty good. Those are what it is. So, because if they're not, I'm totally sending them back. If that'd be the case. But yeah, I'm supposed to be getting stuff from both the Postal Service and from UPS tomorrow, because apparently Amazon doesn't do their own fucking deliveries now. That's what it is in these snowstorms, which is ridiculous. So, but anyway. So yeah, but we're definitely seeing like a lot of insanity as it is right now, dude. Jesus fucking Christ. Speaking, or before we leave, I just saw this one. So if you want to talk about, speaking of cheaters, cheater Democrats, we got piece of shit Josh Shapiro, who is another fucking scumbag that needs arrested out of office right now, falsely claiming that Minnesota should charge agents with voluntary manslaughter for Alex Purdy shooting. No, they fucking shouldn't, dude. Fuck yourself. And if you don't run up on fucking, you know, armed dudes walking out there and actually doing their fucking job to arrest violent pedophiles and rapists, etc., not to mention murderers, all these other fucking criminal scum from overseas, and you won't get fucking shot. It's that simple, literally, dude. Like, let them do what they're gonna fucking do and move on with your life. And I love how everybody keeps talking about this Alex guy being some kind of fucking ICU nurse, whatever the case be, when the douchebag literally quit his job months ago to become an Antifa terrorist is what it was, dude. Like, from everything that's coming out now, the guy was a fucking terrorist, 100%. So, we also have this one, video of quote-unquote leftist pro-lifers speak out against pro-abortionists that march for life. We also had this interesting one that happened the other day here, which is how a snowplow driver helps rescue sick baby in nick of time during historic storm. So it was one of the ODOT guys that was one of the snowplow drivers. I actually saw this the other day when it happened. He had gone to do his regular route or whatever during the storms here, is what it was. And then he was down, I think, it was around like, I want to say it was Cincinnati, but it could be Dayton. I could be wrong about which way. It was either, I think it was Cincinnati, that was what it was. And yeah, there was apparently a little baby who apparently had gotten, like they had like some kind, I don't know if it was like a heart defect when they were born or what it was, but they basically had to be rushed to the hospital is what it was. And you essentially had the snowplow driver being right in front of the people's car, plowing the road for them to get to the hospital then. Or sorry, it wasn't their car, it was the ambulance. He was plowing the road, and then the ambulance was following him, was what it was, the kid in it. And they were able to get like to the hospital basically right on time to save this kid's life. So, yeah, definitely, you know, some faith in humanity restored in that situation. But, you know, there's not a lot left, unfortunately, where it's good people. There's a lot of demonic evil out there right now that's, you know, trying to win is what it is, and we can't let them win, man. We really can't. So, we need to be the ones that are, you know, doing what needs to be done and dealing with this shit is what it is, dude. But going back to my discussion of how we're just led by Democrats at this point. You had Trump, instead of just keeping his mouth shut about the whole Alex Purdy shooting, going out there and saying dumb shit like this, which was, and I quote, "I don't like the fact that he was carrying a gun." You literally have the legal right to carry a gun in America, jackass. It's called the Second Amendment. Like, you claim to be pro-2A, motherfucker, but you're obviously not. You're a 90s Democrat. You were one of the only scumbag motherfuckers who was able to have a concealed carry permit in New York City because you had billions of dollars behind you, Donald Trump. Meanwhile, people like myself, people like even Bernie Getz in the 80s was not able to have a concealed carry permit because it would have cost him thousands of dollars to get it then, or not maybe not thousands of dollars, but at least several $100s anyway. So instead, Bernie went and bought a 38 in Florida and then proceeded to constitutionally carry it in a non-constitutional carry state. And because he did so, he was able to defend himself on a New York City subway in 1984. I believe that's when it happened. And was able to shoot 4 black criminals that were trying to rob him. Of course, none of them actually died. And the one guy caught 2 bullets instead of 1 because, you know, there was a 5th round in the cylinder there. And he was basically trying to continue to come at Bernie, but didn't work out for him. Unfortunately, Bernie Getz got fucked over in that situation because he basically got a bunch of civil charges against him and basically was put in a bankruptcy for like many, many decades of his life was what it was after the whole thing. But it's interesting because when you look at that situation, though, had it not been for Bernie Getz subway shooting there of a bunch of black criminals, you would have still had New York City be a giant shithole to this day, which now it's becoming a giant shithole again, is what it is, obviously, in the last decade or so. But there in the 90s and early 2000s and stuff like that, it actually started to become good again, is what it was. And I believe personally, when you look at the Bernie Getz shooting there in the New York City subway system, it is what directly led to Rudy Giuliani eventually becoming mayor of the city and a bunch of different stuff happening to where you were able to actually deal with crime and criminality in that city as it was for like a decade or so. Of course, you didn't have Michael Bloomberg take over and completely fuck everything up because he would do unconstitutional stop and frisk stuff, which was later deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court because he was actually racially profiling, ironically enough. When he was doing his racial profiling and obvious racism, a lot of the black youth that they were racially profiling were carrying guns in their pants, whether it be, you know, just shoved down their waistband, or whether it be they were sagging their pants and they were just having the gun like hanging out in the pieces of cloth in their jeans that were being created in like little hole deals that it was there. Because I've seen a lot of that actually in the last several years looking at videos and stuff like that, where you have these dudes that'll do like the sagging and stuff. And it's because they're trying to create like essentially like a flat surface so they can just take a gun on top of it then. Which it seems like that would be painful if you're walking, because no matter how much you're sagging your pants like that, dude, like pretty sure that gun could like bounce up and smack you in the nutsack and like dick too for that matter. So it's like, I wouldn't think that'd be a good way to carry, honestly. But, you know, nobody ever said that criminals are smart, so. But yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous what it is though, dude. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that could fix America. Unfortunately, nobody wants to look at the stuff that could do it, honestly, because it would make them look, you know, racist or whatever the fuck they want to call you at that point. Make up some bullshit terminology, like the whole like xenophobic thing is a made up bunch of bullshit by a bunch of leftist douchebags. The same thing with Islamophobia crap. It's like, no, we're not scared of you idiots. We are trying to prevent the terrorism that you obviously want to create and the takeover that your fucking Trojan ass invaders are trying to create in our country. That it is, man. So get the fuck out. That's what it is, for real. And don't ever come back. So anyway. But yeah, I don't know. These snowstorms are definitely looking day after tomorrow stuff is what it is, dude, because I actually saw an interesting one too yesterday where it was There was a bunch of deer that were basically frozen mid-side, various like crazy temp drops, and I'm just like, dude, that is like straight out after tomorrow from like the old like tundra times where it was like the ice age and shit, where you had like a woolly mammoth or something like that taking a bit of food and being frozen immediately from like the cold air is what it was then. So yeah, I would not be surprised in the least if you actually had like, if this actually was like apocalyptic shit or whatever the case be then, dude. So I hope it's not, because that'd be crazy. Although it would be a way to deal with a lot of problems in America right now is what it is, if we were able to do this stuff correctly. So I don't know. It would suck to die hypothermia though. That's for sure. And like just freeze to death basically. I mean, that being said, my understanding with hypothermia and stuff like that though is that when you actually do experience that and you actually would pass away from that kind of a thing, you essentially just fall asleep and you're just cold is what it is. So like you're just shivering when you fall asleep is what it is. So it would be close. It would be like the closest thing to like dying in your sleep essentially that you could experience. So, you know, it would suck to die that way, but like it'd be a lot better than, you know, burning to death or dying with smoke inhalation or something like that. That's what it is there, or drowning or dry drowning, which is another one that's really terrible. There's no what dry drowning is. Basically, if you ever go swimming, you should immediately after that, you should make sure that you're like, you know, coughing, like doing a little bit of coughing and stuff like that after, like inducing coughing, like you're just like kind of stuff, just to see if there's any like fluid in your lungs, because there has been many cases in the past, like a couple of decades now. I think it's about the last 15 years or so, give or take. I know I've heard at least like 3 to 5 cases or more of younger kids dry drowning like a day or two after that because they had gone swimming. It was like that Saturday or Sunday, and it was like Monday or Tuesday. They had a bunch of fluid in their lungs from the water that they had sucked in a pool, or whether it be in a kind of river that they were swimming, or whatever the case be. And yeah, they end up just having the fluid in their lungs, and it just basically suffocated them to death because there's too much fluid in their lungs from all the water that they had inhaled. So yeah, dry drowning is no joke, dude. Like you should definitely take precautions if you're going to go out and do swimming and stuff like that, just because, you know, you never want to end up like that's what it is there. So, but anyway, so yeah, we're definitely on the precipice of a lot of stuff right now is what it is. If we make it to spring, I think we're definitely going to see an increase in political violence is what it'll be. And I really think what Tim Pool said about civil strife the other day is pretty much correct right now. I think we're in civil strife right now is what it is, which is a prelude to civil war is what it is then. And I would not be surprised come, you know, springtime, summertime, when it is, you know, a lot warmer, hotter, etc., that you see a lot of violence kicking off again. And like I said, I would not be surprised, like we saw with the stage shift from Ilhan Omar this week, if you actually see more of this stuff from Democrats. And I would not be surprised if you actually have Democrats commit actual terrorist attacks and political assassination, Charlie Kirk style, on the right-wing side of history, and then turn around and basically fake a bunch of ones in themselves, what it is then, and claim that they're survivors and shit. And it's all just a way to attack gun rights at that point, obviously, which is what we're kind of seeing right now since the whole Minnesota shooting of this Alice guy, where you're seeing pretty much the left and the 90s left, that is now most of the right at this point, are all basically attacking gun rights is what it is there, where you got Trump making these stupid statements about like, oh gosh, shouldn't have been carrying a gun, to various things of, oh, we shouldn't have been armed, all this other stuff like that. Now, granted, that being said, looking at Minnesota laws and stuff like that, and looking at how supposedly this Alex Purdy guy did not have an actual license on him at the time, nor did he have a CCW on him at the time, he was in violation of state law, where you have to be carrying that stuff just to even open carry. So that being said, it's not a federal law, it's a state law, and it's not a constitutional state law. So yeah, Minnesota is just a shithole because of Tim Walz and company basically attacking gun rights because Keith Ellison, his terrorist piece of shit ass attacking gun rights, etc. So really, it's just a bunch of shit all the way around, dude. And at the end of the day, the only thing I will say about that whole situation is like, don't be stupid, man. Don't be trying to interfere with official business of people, dude. Like, just let it happen. Stop trying to protect a bunch of fucking illegal pieces of shit who are rapists, murderers, pedophiles, etc. And let their asses get deported back to their shithole of origin. And it's that simple, really. And instead, you got all these fucking idiots who are a bunch of illegals themselves, too, that are trying to cuck for their most pieces of shit among them is what it is there, dude. And it's like, you would think, honestly, if you're an illegal in this country, what your crime was jumping our border to, quote-unquote, have a better life for yourself while you're working with American people and stuff like that, that you maybe shut the fuck up about, you know, some rapist among you getting thrown the fuck out, or some murderer among you getting thrown the fuck out, or some pedophile who's trying to rape a bunch of kids get thrown the fuck out. You know? Like, if they're not coming after you, bro, like, maybe just fuck off is what it is then. Seriously. But, or if you're an American citizen, like, again, stop cucking for these fucking morons, what it is, bro. For real. So, so let's see, we got a bunch of rhinos now who are trying to tell Trump to slow down on the deportations. They include Lindsey Graham, Lisa Murkowski, Ted Cruz, and people are saying Greg Abbott is also a rhino in this one. And him and Cruz are basically saying do a measured slowdown. No, we need to do a fucking increase speed up, bro. Like, seriously, like, and I said it before, dude, like, honestly, at this point, like, there should be no one in power that has a Democrat next to their name right now until election audits can be had and prove that they did not commit voter fraud to stay in power, so it is there, or take power. So, anyway, then we got, we're going to finish off with this one right here. Here's what it is. Mayor of St. Louis Park, Minnesota, Nadia Mohammed, who was born in Somalia, is now begging for money and pushing for an eviction moratorium for illegals who are too scared to leave their homes. Well, first of all, it's not their houses. They are illegally taking housing from American citizens, number one. Number two, this fucking dumb cunt shouldn't even be mayor of anything except some fucking shithole town in Somalia, not Minnesota, et cetera, et cetera. Like, again, why are these four national fucks allowed to take these positions of power, dude? You're not from this country. You're never going to abide by this country's legal system. You're never going to abide by our constitution. So fuck the fuck you came from, bitch, and stay the fuck. It's that simple. Like, enough is enough of this shit, bro. I don't know if this was supposed to be just some random person's burger that this guy was making, or if it was like a federal agent's burger that he was making. But apparently he did not realize he was being recorded and proceeded to spit on their burger. And on the bun, it seems like, too. So, and that's exactly why I don't eat at McDonald's and stuff like that anymore, because it's all chemical-based crap is what it is, bro. So, or wherever this was, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's McDonald's or it was someplace else. Kind of looks. It's definitely a chain restaurant though that has the same kind of deal there, where they put their burger patties and shit on these little trays and stuff. So, but either way, disgusting. And that's also, by the way, a felony what that guy just did because he was tampering with the food. So that's why we have those laws in the books from the 80s and the 70s and stuff like that. This is also kind of a weird one, too, that's been talked about for the last few days now, what it is. So a lot of people are saying that the snow from this most recent storm doesn't melt when it's either put to flame or you put it on flames. That being said, I know the stuff that I was fucking with the other day when I did to see how much was in, like, measure with the tape measure, see how much was there is what it was. I know that melted off my tape measure. So I don't know. Like, there's definitely water vapor in it for sure, but it is very weird when you have stuff like this right here, where people are putting a snowball in a fire and it's not even melting. Yeah, it's very disturbing, man. So it does make you wonder what kind of weird, like, cloud seed chemicals and shit that they're putting into this stuff is what it is then, man. Like chemtrail chemicals, whatever it is there. Yeah, it's definitely fucking weird. Yeah, it's like it's putting out the fucking flame, but it's not actually like melting, which is crazy. Like, yeah, that should all be, if nothing else, that should be putting out the flame because it's water, not just like a ball of ice, basically, at that point. Super, super weird, dude. And we got this one from 20 minutes ago where it was breaking video has surfaced of Alex Purdy spitting on and attacking federal agents in the Minneapolis area on January 13th, 1 week before being fatally shot in the scuffle. Guy was not a peaceful protester. He was a violent leftist militant. Yep. Very true. Very true. They should have arrested his ass right there on terrorism charges. So, yeah, had they done so, we've been way better off, bro. So, yep. That's how it goes, though, man. It's all, and like I said, this is exactly why I'm waiting like 3 days to a week for this shit, dude. Because we are literally gonna see this stuff come out in real time is what it is then. So, let's see, we got this one for, actually, before we leave the video, we'll talk about this one too as well. This goes back to the start of this video, which is basically the Ilhan attack, or stage attack. We got new. Neighbor of the suspect in the Ilhan Omar attack says he was medicated from a previous accident, says he sent a cryptic message before the incident, according to New York Post. Anthony Kamasarakases. I'm sure he calls this guy Kamikaze at this point. Neighbor Brian Kelly says Kamikaze asked him if he could watch his dog while he went to Omar's event. Said, I'm going to the Omar thing. I'm like, Omar what? He said, this town hall thing. I might get arrested. Yeah, like I said, the whole thing is fucking staged as shit, dude. What it is. So. This is one of the state reps in Ohio right now talking about Jay Jones in Virginia, now Elliot Forhan in Ohio, alarming trend. Yeah, it's called Keep These Fucking Terrorists in Office, bro, seriously. We got breaking 8 hours ago. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says Alex Purdy and Renee Good were assassinated by lawless mass DHS agents in Minnesota. This shit right here is exactly what we need all that squawkish from office, dude. Like, this kind of fucking bullshit rhetoric from Pelosi's piece of shit old ass, who's a fucking decades-long criminal who should be in federal prison right now for insider trading alone. Not to mention all the fucking terrorist shit she's done in towers, stuff like that, dude. Like, this is the kind of crap, again, this is, again, going back to the whole sophisticated terrorism thing. Like, that's exactly what she's committing right now, dude, what it is. By claiming that they were assassinated, so what you're going to have now, you're going to have much more leftist nuts come out of the woodwork in the next day or two, or a week or two, or whatever it is now. And those fucking people are then going to turn around and commit more terrorist attacks and get themselves killed, but it is then. And it's all this kind of fucking political rhetoric from the Democrat Party that needs to be shut the fuck down by being arrested out of office, what it is then, dude. So, I also want to point something out, which is basically how the day before Ilhan's bullshit attack last night, her stage attack last night, you had, I believe it was the DHS or DOJ, I think it was DOJ, was opening a fraud investigation into her ass right now is what it is, and how she made the $44 million in the last like 4 to 5 years now. She's been in Congress where people makes $174,000 a year is what it is. So, anyway. And I also want to point something out to you for that matter, that since the whole thing with the last has come out yesterday, not one Democrat running for office right now, from Amy Acton to David Pecker to Allison Russo, who's trying to run for Secretary of State, to anybody in between, has come out and disavowed this motherfucker, because they all avow it, dude. That's what it is. They all are for it. They're just not going to say it themselves what it is. So, ironically enough, going to Rhino shit then. Yeah, this one, Buckeye Politics, saying, generally considering voting for Vivek after reading stuff about Elliot there. No one know how Democrat parties was being in office, and frankly shouldn't be in our country. Why would you vote for the fucking scumbag that's going to be indicted on RICO Act charges, dude? And Vivek. If you're going to vote for anybody, then for like a primary, dude, vote for Casey Putsch is what it is right now. So, anyway. Oh, so going back to the douchebag that was involved in the staged Omar attack, there's what it was. We got this one here from Redline News saying they forgot to scrub his social media before paying him to perform last night. It's going to be difficult to call this guy mega. Yeah, he's a bunch of left-wing nutters is what it is. They're with him, dude. So, go ahead and pull up the photo thing there. Yeah, you got the old blue hair, the old red hair. Some people in literal fucking... I don't know if that's supposed to be him in his youth with the nose ring stuff, if that's like a kid of his. Oh, it looks like his son, probably. Yeah. So, we got hands off Minnesota, reject Pam Bondi's demands. Yeah, this guy was definitely a leftist nut for sure. Like I said, dude, it's all staged. It's all fake and gay, literally. So, like it's nothing but fraud in general. And that was the one thing I remember going back to when here in Dayton in 2019, when we had those two terror attacks within, it was about 17 or 18 hours, give or take, where you had the one there at the not Minnesota, at the Texas Walmart by the border there, and then it was about 13, 14 hours later is when you had the fuck one here in Dayton. And the reason that we know he's Antifa fuck stick is because Antifa affiliate, I guess is what I'd say on that one, because it definitely wasn't. He, as far as I'm aware, that piece of shit Connor Betts was not actually an active Antifa member. He was affiliated with the group, is what it was. So he's basically like, you know, hey, would you guys look to what it was? And they did, obviously. And so that he was like a leftist nut, that was what it was. Then what's interesting is you look at these rhino sacks of shit in power now. You had then Lieutenant Governor John Husted, who was then appointed to the U.S. Senate, who's up for the election this year, and potentially get primary is fucker was all about gun that shit, as was much of other Democrats, as was Mike DeWine's rhino ass. And this is the problem entirely who people is, because they're a bunch of oath breaking sacks of shit. What it is, dude. They are openly committing declaration of law against you, and yet you're on the remain in power and not pressing the office what it is there. And is the fact that you have deprivation of law only being a misdemeanor crime when it's a federal felony. And that's the problem with citizens arresting people, unless it's an actual felony charge. And so we basically have to put up with this stupid bullshit unless we put people out powers over this then. So. Jesus Christ, man. So going on to, going back to other stuff here before we finish up today. We got this dumb motherfucker right here saying, why did people think Omar would stage this? During a town hall, she was sprayed with an unknown substance by a man in the audience. Because there's literally more than enough evidence to prove it, you fucking idiot. That's why. Mountain of evidence. Hours before it. So, anyway. So Casey Butch is trying to use Elliot's terrorist stuff to basically push for his own governor's race. Here's what it is. Said 7 hours ago, Democrat Ohio AG candidate Elliot Forhan wears a traditional work shirt in a very light-colored, modern, feminine room, and then designed clean room. Wants to kill Donald Trump. Said, I'm running for Ohio governor. Have said plenty of sophomoric and silly things in my life, but this is just cheap incitement of leftist violence. Completely deserve vote Butch to Ohio. Yep. And you got this stupid cunt right here saying, all leftist women break up with your Republican boyfriends. Like, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, it's these people who are just either insane or just lonely. I think that's what a lot of it is, dude. It's like, it's these loneliness, leftist type of women like that are just sad because they're all used up and shit like that. Nobody really wants them. And so they're telling everybody else, they're like, oh yeah, you need to break up with your people, whatever the case be. And basically be like Lonely Hearts Club with that person is what it is. And it's like, no, like, just shut up, woman. And that's exactly what we're seeing with a lot of this stuff too, by a lot of these women out here, is it goes back to that video I was talking about maybe like a week or two ago now, where it was I forget what that woman's name is, but I know it's like MRC was the anagram thing that was used for it. And it was her talking about how so many of these females have the motherly instinct to where they want to be mothers, but because they should have had, or just never would have kids to begin with, but it was there, they then go to the most like what they think is most vulnerable and try to protect them as it is, and this could be illegals and stuff like that. And I believe it was a couple of days ago, Tim Pool was talking about this. Maybe it was even last night, his cast, and he's talking about Forhan and stuff like that. They were discussing, I think maybe that's what it was actually. They were discussing, or no, it was, yeah, I'm trying to remember if it was his stream or if it was a video, but I don't know. It was one of the two. It was in the last like day or two, that was what it was. So it was one of his videos from the last day or two, maybe. And it was him discussing about how it's been proven now that you have, or no, sorry, that's not what it was. It wasn't him. It was the Fleckus Talks guy. That's what it was. It was the Fleckus Talks guy. It was a video that he put up like a couple days ago or a week ago, or maybe whatever it was, where it was this woman who was taking her 18-month-old child to go do ICE patrol shit and claiming that her baby wasn't any better than any other babies out there, whatever the case be. And it's like, you are literally committing child abuse when you're taking your child out to anything from like -18 to -40 temperatures in Minnesota there because you're a fucking leftist nut job. And the entire point of the matter is that what they were talking about was how there was a study done here like a couple years ago where it was basically, it was a social experiment kind of study or whatever, where you had people playing a game at like, it was like Monopoly or whatever the case be there. And it was like 4 or 5 people playing that game, and then it was like a bunch of observers, like there was like maybe 5 or 10 observers or whatever watching the game, and it proved that when people were playing fairly, like everybody was just kind of whatever, and then when people cheated, you had some people being like, nah, some bullshit or whatever, and then what it actually turned out to be was that no matter what, when it comes to women, it doesn't matter if it's, fair play or cheating, whatever the case be. They're basically straight across the board fine with all of it. And then meanwhile, when it comes to men, if we actually see something where we're like, yeah, that person fucked around and found out, we're just like, yeah, fuck that person kind of thing, whatever then. Whereas women are just like, just across the board, like, fuck it all, basically, is what it is there. So, yeah. And really what it shows is it's like the 19 Amendment shouldn't exist what it is, dude. Neither should the 26th in that case of things. So, and this is the one problem I have with my my buddy who, I talked about him the other day. He was my, what I consider to be my 2A, not 2A mentor, my Bill of Rights mentor, is what it was there, constitutionalist mentor, who, basically is the reason why I'm a constitutionalist now is what it is. And it's, the fact of the matter is, he was mentioning about how we've been in, like, basically this patriarchal society for, like, centuries, whatever, just men being in power. And maybe it's time to go, like, matriarch or whatever the case be. And it's like, that's the problem, though, dude, is, like, for the last 100-something years now, it's like 107 years now, we've actually been a matriarchal society is what it is, because you have all these women that have voting rights now that have voted us into this fucking nutty bullshit where it's these weaker men, it's these weaker women that are in power now, to where they're all sympathetic, empathetic, etc., bringing in these fucking third world pieces of shit now is what it is, and are completely destroying our society by allowing us to become weaker, by allowing fucking food corporations to put all kinds of poison in our food, all kinds of chemicals in our water, etc. And then you wonder why you have these dudes that are now like, 12 to 15 years old that aren't hitting puberty, but until they're like 17, 18 now is what it is. And in a lot of cases, when they're 13, 14, look like they're females in a lot of cases there. And then you have these young girls that are like, anywhere from like 6 to 9 years old now is what it is. They're getting fucking periods and shit, dude. And it's because you have all this chemical shit being pushed in their systems, where it's much more estrogen that's in these kids' bodies now that shouldn't be there is what it is. And that's the thing as well. When you look at soy specifically as a food source, like that is the worst thing that a man can ever eat is what it is, dude. That's the one thing no person really should eat except a menopausing woman is what it is then, because it would help stabilize their estrogen level. Whereas if a guy eats soy, he will develop breast tissue. He will develop, feminine traits and stuff like that's what it is there. And that's exactly why you see male sperm counts going down like crazy in this country now is what it is. It's why you see testosterone across the board going down like crazy is what it is. And that's why you see so many feminized men in general, because you have all these women where, when you got the single motherhood households and stuff like that, dude, between that and the teachers that are a bunch of women now too as well, like these young guys have no men in their lives at all is what it is in many cases. And then you wonder why they become little pussified fucking bitches is what it is, dude. And that's exactly why, because they're being raised by generations of fucking females that are just basically pussifying them instead of creating strong men, instead of creating good times. They're creating weak men and hard times is what it is then. So, anyway. But to finish off with today's episode, we're going to talk about, going to go back to Omar again and talk about this here, which was that Tim Young guy saying, serious question. Remember, Congress is attacking spread with an unknown substance. Why wouldn't security and emergency staff step in to assist? Step in to assess the substance before allowing the event to continue. Shouldn't that have happened immediately? Well, and that's another thing people bring up, the fact that this whole thing was staged, because it's like, why, as a person that would be potentially attacked, and you're sitting there saying, oh, it's a smelly odor, whatever the case be, why would you not immediately be rushing out of the fucking room, literally yanking your fucking shirt off at the time, and then running into another room and getting another change of clothes, and at the same time, potentially getting like, some chemical do you call it, the cleaning stations there. Because I know depending on where the place is and stuff like that, they'll have like a cleaning station or whatever the case be. If you ever get like chemical contaminants or whatever there, it's like, why wouldn't you be running for like cleaning station to like clean yourself off? Basically, is what it is there. Like, why would you be like, oh, we're not going to let them fucking win and then continue to do your stupid bullshit speech is what it is there. It's because you knew exactly what was in that fucking syringe and it was nothing more than probably like water or food dye in the water or something like that. Or like some kind of baking grease, whatever the case be then. So, yeah, it's just a bunch of shit entirely, dude. And I'm so fucking sick and tired of these leftists what it is, dude. Especially Omar's piece of shit ass is what it is then, dude. So... And then you got Mike Davis, who is some kind of attorney saying attack is 100% unacceptable. Suspect must face charges. That was 18 hours ago. Fucking dumbass bullshit. So, anyway. Yeah, I can tell it's getting cold though because my heater keeps making the cranking sounds. Yeah, actually, so here's a good video of the Omar incident. There's what it was, the staged attack on herself. So you have her sitting there or standing there at the podium there. Okay, so see right here. So she's speaking. This is about 2 seconds into it, where she then kind of looks at the guy and gives like a little head nod there, and then right after that he goes up and sprays her with the shit, and then she actually is going to fight him, and then that's when security basically gets involved then. So it takes him like a good like 7 to 10 seconds to even get involved at all, man. And then if you look at the other camera angle, he literally like hobbles into an older security guard guy. So it's all bullshit, dude. It's all fucking staged and fake as hell. So. But yeah, the people bring up the fact the stuff that came out with this guy. It said, well. Alleged Omar sprayer Andy seems to have some far left gender pronoun children. But yeah, totally mega. Stinks of being staged. 30 million reasons why. Yeah, it's all the money that Omar stole is what it is right now. So. Actually, I think we'll finish off with this one. So you got some leftist nutter in Bay Area cafe owner there in California. Shut down her business after being viciously mocked online for selling a $22 grilled cheese sandwich. Kendra Culling closed the last location of her San Francisco Bay Area sandwich shop, The Farmer's Wife, in early January. Said her business began struggling last year after a viral Reddit post. She was quoted as saying, "They are calling me the most vile things. This is beyond sandwiches. It was so hateful and personal." Viral post included a picture of a menu and the caption, "Sandwich prices made me lols. We are doomed." Menu featured a $22 grilled cheese, a $34 steak and egg sandwich, and a $30 T-Rex club with a side salad. So the thing about that is though, right? Like you're talking about California pricing, dude, and we all know that like pricing in major cities is like way more than it should be. That being said, if you're psycho enough to pay $22 for a fucking grilled cheese, that's on you, bro. Because that should legitimately be like a $5 sandwich at most. And that should come with a side of fries too, by the way, for that $5. Now, granted, nowadays, depending on where you're at, it's probably gonna be like $10 or so at least, maybe 12, honestly. But yeah, it's just completely insane what it is there, dude. So Yeah, somebody's pointing out the side angle of Omar's stage attack here about how when danger attacks, she move away is what it is then. So why the hell is she moving towards the danger? But this is what I'm talking about. So you have a security guy over here on his phone or whatever then. And then he kind of just like hobbles over the guy, and the guy kind of just like rushes out and then grabs him. So, but yeah, there was more enough time in that whole situation there where he could, like, if this was a real attack, dude, and it was the actual accelerant then, there was more than enough time that guy could have sprayed her with the syringe, flipped out a Zippo, and thrown the fucking lit Zippo at her or whatever the case be then, and she would have been a Human Torch at that point. And that's exactly why I'm saying it stages what it is then, dude. So, anyway. So to add to the incident, though, this is what the outcome of it is so far, which is Indy James Kamikaze, which is I'm going to call the guy's name, I pronounce it as last name 55, being held on third-degree assault after spraying unknown substance from a syringe onto Ilhan Omar during a town hall earlier in the evening. That was 16 hours ago. This Chris R. Downs guy said, must be facing felony, must be federally charged and brought to the FBI for questioning. Attacking a member of Congress selective behavior. American people deserve the full story. Minnesota authorities cannot be trusted. Yeah, exactly. That guy's actually from the same town that J.D. Vance grew up in. So, well, like I said, the fact that in less than like 12 hours or so since it happened, and I guess maybe it was like, I'm trying to think the time I heard about that last night. Maybe 10 or 11 last night was when I heard about it. So, about 17 hours later, we already know the guy is like clearly a leftist nut. So, actually, I do want to bring this up before we leave today. So, this is something that Casey DeSantis, Ron DeSantis' wife there in Florida, brought up the other day, is how the state of Florida was doing testing of various kids' candies. They specifically were doing, I believe it was Jolly Ranchers and then Nerds, and found out there is legitimate death poisoning level of arsenic in them. So if you eat enough of them, you basically would die of arsenic poisoning. And now people bring up the fact that says 60% of children's candies contain dangerous levels of arsenic. Sweet Tarts, Snickers, Skittles, Kit Kats, Nerds, Sour Patch Kids, Twizzlers, Jolly Ranchers, Trolley, Tootsie Rolls are among the worst offenders. Florida tested 46 popular sweets. 28 showed elevated arsenic linked to increased cancer risk and repeated exposure. Safe yearly limits for a child based on detected arsenic. Nerds were 96 pieces per year. Sweet Tarts, the original version, were 48 pieces. Sour Patch Kids is 36 pieces. I think most of these are actually less than a pack, if that'd be the case. Skittles were 48. Trolley Sour Bright Crawlers were 12. Jolly Ranchers, the sour apple and strawberry were 6. Twizzler strawberries were 4. Tootsie Rolls were 8. Snickers were 2.5. So I'm guessing that's, I don't know if that's 2.5 full bars or 2.5 of little mini bars. And then Kit Kats were also 2.5. Yeah, here you go. One box of Nerds contains 2,000 to 8,000 pieces. So it would be like basically like one small like teaspoon of them or something. If that be the case, would be safe levels. It's fucking insane, dude. This is what I don't understand is how we're allowing giant corporations to just poison our fucking food supplies. What it is, bro, and get away with it. Like it's just completely insane. It really pisses me off, honestly. Like it really, really does. And then not only that, but then I saw something yesterday where it was somebody opening a piece of the Dove chocolate and it had some kind of worms growing in it. So it's like, what the hell is happening with our food supply, bro? So then you got some left-wing douche claiming, oh, Omar's attack was totally real, not staged. The man who did it has been alienated from his family for years. His ex-wife who divorced him is a leftist political activist. Yeah, all right. Sure it is, buddy. So I think we're going to end things off with why you don't eat lab-grown bullshit. So this is apparently a 3D printed fake steak. And by the way, that shit looks disgusting. Yeah, I would not eat that fucking garbage ass thing, dude. It looks gross. You also got that douchebag, Mr. Beast, who is definitely a demon pedophile, trying to go out there and create some fake chicken in the lab and then claim it tastes like real chicken when it does not at all. So he's trying to push that bullshit on society for the young kids in the current generations and stuff. So that's disturbing. Old woman pretending to be a young girl had her filter come off and ruined her entire business. She looked like she was about 20 in the with the filter on, and then the filter when it came off. Here, let's see if I can pull this up again. Yeah, so this is her with her filter off, where she's about probably 55 or so, maybe 60. And then with the filter on. I've seen some really disturbing shit, though, with AI recently, too, man. Where, yeah, so this is an interesting one, too. So we're going to finish, I think we'll finish off with this one, the Omar stage attack here. Where it is slow motion video of Ilhan Omar attempting to attack her attacker, question mark. Omar's reaction was oddly calm, wiped her face, muttered a curse, briefly chased the guy, then kept speaking like nothing had happened. No panic, no stripping off clothes, no rushing for medical checks or evaluation. If the liquid was generally dangerous, why risk it? Why not freak out or get checked immediately? Timing right amid her Trump/ICE attacks and personal scrutiny makes this suspiciously convenient. Skeptical, feels off, like it could be staged for sympathy and to paint, quote, mega attacks on Congress. Oh, I guarantee that's what it is, dude. That's all it is. 100%, bro. Yeah, it's like stage of shit, dude. Because again, like, why wouldn't, like, well, first off, like, the guy already sprayed you with something, right? Like, who's to say he's not armed at that point? Like, why would you risk, like, trying to go fight the dude or whatever than to, like, if anything, what you should be doing is, like, ripping off your top there is what it is. And I think maybe the reason she didn't rip off the top is because it would have ripped off her stupid little fucking head turban bullshit. But either way, like, you would think you'd be, like, running out of that room and, like, you know, running to a safe location or something. Would that be the case? And then trying to get the shit. Yeah. Like, it just, the whole thing just feels staged as shit, honestly, dude. So. But anyway. Actually, going back to, yeah, I think we'll finish off with this little, this Twitter post here is what it is, which is right under the Omar stage attack here is what it is, which was, this is what a fully manufactured white leftist activist looks like. No real convictions, no long-term purpose, no skin in the game. Just outrage on demand and a camera-ready meltdown whenever the script calls for it. Perfect pawn material, easy to wind up, easy to point a direction, and too clueless to realize she's being used as a prop in someone else's political theater. And that is exactly why I stay out of the shit, man, for the most part. You know, like, I'm not going to fucking, you know, deal with this stupid retarded-ass bullshit. So... Jesus. Actually, I gotta say, I think we'll finish off with this one because this basically goes back to exactly what our society's become now is what it is. It was stop having kids with black men. So you got ugly ass black dude, somebody decent looking white woman, weird ass mixed race kid. Dad charged with murdering 12-week-old daughter while caring for infant solo for first time. Fucking disgusting, dude. It's hard not to be pissed at shit like that, man. It really is. So. Hopefully that child will be reincarnated as somebody else, though. That's the case. So. Yeah, it happened in Maine, by the way, if I was interested. The piece of shit biological father of that kid was 24. Made the initial 911 call telling dispatchers that his newborn baby, Lila Samuels, was turning blue around 11:40 a.m. on the 16th of January near Bangor, Maine. She went limp and then turned blue around her eyes and mouth. He told dispatcher, according to affidavit, dispatcher told him to start CPR, and 3 minutes into the call, a crying sound could be heard in the background. While en route, emergency services told the dispatcher that a relative had called and reported that Samuels is alone with the child for the first time. Lila's mother, Lily Collins. I guess that's her name. Sorry, I'm fucking. Get off my screen, dude. God damn. Sorry, I'm trying to look at this fucking New York report right now, but it's not popping properly. This stupid ass fucking post is telling me to, oh, stop your blocker shit. No, fucking fuck off. Let me look at the shit, is what it is. Yeah, she was on maternity leave, so that point is what it was here, what it said. So, sad. Sad situation all the way around, man. So, anyway. Yeah, society's definitely going to hell in a handbasket for sure, is what it is. But I don't know what the solution is to fix it, man. I really, really don't. Maybe put these motherfuckers under the jail, I guess, would be the only way to fix it, honestly. So. Oh, apparently a previous woman that this guy was with claimed that he tried to strangle her 10 to 15 different times. Jesus Christ, man. Fucking people, man. Yeah, it was Leah Collins was the mother's name. So. Yeah, just fucking complete garbage people, man, is what it is. Again, unfortunately, another life taken because of a violent black male that shouldn't have been out of prison, is what it is. And that's the real truth of the matter, dude. This is what pisses me off, and this is exactly why you have to have states create charges and stuff like that, where the state can charge somebody for various crimes and things like that. because you have these dumbass fucking females like this that are like, oh, but I don't want to press charges against him even though he's a piece of shit motherfucker. And it's like, no, press charges against that piece of shit motherfucker, because when you leave them out in society again, all you're going to do is let somebody else be vulnerable to their fucking future assaults, their future murder, etc. That's what it is, dude. So, unfortunately, in this case, it happened to be a little 12-week-old baby girl is what it was. So, yeah, just horrible. This is exactly why I believe in on-the-spot death penalties, by the way. Like, crimes like that, dude, we don't need we don't need juries, we don't need trials. You put that motherfucker to a damn chair and let his ass the fuck up. You put a bullet in his head, whatever the fucking case be, it doesn't matter. Like, whatever needs to be done, whatever is the fastest method to kill that son of a bitch, that's what you do. So, and it's literally that simple, honestly. So, apparently there's a bunch of crazy liberal witches who are trying to do witchcraft against Trump's administration with casting spells and shit. Fucking ass people, dude. So, anyway, but yeah, I think we're all just heading for bad times ahead right now is what it is. Oh, good lord, dude. So, I think, because there's one more thing that's popped in my feed. So we're seeing Darwinism in real time is what it is right now with these fucking morons. People are seen walking on the frozen lake of Chicago for photos. Don't do this. It's incredibly dangerous. The pattern is called pancake ice. Parts of the lake near the shoreline have formed pancake ice, round, floating discs that look solid but are unstable. Thick ice near the shore is thin and vulnerable due to moving water underneath, creating weak spots. I'll tell you what that reminds me of. It reminds me of the scene from, which one is it? The Dark Knight Rises, I believe is what it is. Which would be the third Batman movie there with Christian Bale, where they basically were doing the trials of the people. And it was a Scarecrow finding everybody guilty and stuff like that. And their sentence was basically, okay, if you make it like around the ice or whatever, you survive and stuff. And then of course, like, dude walks out like 10 feet and then just like flips. That's what it is then. Like, that's exactly what that shit reminds me of, man. It's just stupid motherfuckers what it is there. So, anyway. So yeah, we're definitely getting to a point right now where it's not even like taking the labels off stuff and letting society figure itself out. It's just doing, whatever needs to be done there is what it is. So, oh, by the way, for those interested, I did the thing the other day where she was talking about the deal with these women and not having kids and stuff like that, and then, the whole society what it is there. It is this lady right here is what it is in this video. She's the same one that did the other video. I don't know what her name is offhand, but yeah, she does like Facebook Reels and stuff a lot. So, anyway. But, yeah. And you got a bunch of other idiots calling themselves independent journalists saying Omar needs to file an incident report on the whole thing. Oh, actually, that is a good idea. Sorry, I didn't read the whole post. I just read the top line of it as well. That's what you can read in the headline. I said the whole post. Yeah, what she said was FBI needs to launch an investigation into the incident, have Ilhan Omar file a report. If the incident is fake, Omar lies to the FBI and it would be a criminal investigation then. under U.S. Code. What is it? Yeah, 18 U.S. Code 1001. So. Actually, speaking of, actually, I think this is where we're gonna live on this one actually, which is why you don't share photos of your kids online. Is what it is here, man. And this is something I remember hearing about several years back now, where it was a couple had gone to a movie. I think this was like 2015 or so, maybe. And the trailer for the movie was basically, I think it was either their newborn baby or it was like a toddler. I think maybe she was like a toddler, like one or like a year or two, maybe 3 at most. And these people had taken the photos that their family put on Facebook and age enhance them to make like some kind of weird, disgusting AI child porn using their child, is what it was then. And this is what this person is saying here. It says, holy shit, absolutely terrifying, especially if you have children. And so this is why you don't just share everything online. This might be the most impactful AI awareness video ever made. So we're going to watch this 2-minute video of what it is here. Where they're taking a little kid, age enhancing them up. Yeah, okay, this is the actual video then that I was talking about, where it was the parents of this kid. Yeah, they aged up the daughter or whatever, and then like basically told her like, hey, I'm an AI and this is what my posts are being used for and stuff like that. So if you guys want to check that on your own, it's about 1.5 minutes long. I'll post it to I'll do a repost on our X page. There's what it is. Very, very disturbing of how people can use stuff like that and basically create like falsities and stuff like that. And of course, what it basically, that whole post is talking about then is it's how they use that little girl who's maybe like 5 or something like that. And then they could basically use that for like child exploitation stuff is what it is, and create like age range that like 10, the case being it's all AI generated slop that is actual AI CP is what it is then. So just completely disgusting is what it is, dude. So anyway, but yeah, basically that's why you don't post photos of your kids on your social media accounts and stuff like that, because you never know who's gonna do stuff with them and what kind of sickos are out there that want to, create some fucked up, disturbing ass shit like that's what it is there. So anyway, and that is actually one of the biggest reasons why I am definitely against AI in general, is because all it does is create shit like that's what it is there, dude. You can have this fucked up stuff right there. And yeah, it's just a bad deal, dude. So there was a local shooting here in Canton, Ohio, a little over 3 years ago now, back in 2023. And it was 3 piece of shit young black males in their 20s who shot up this dude's house with him and his kids in it. And unfortunately, he was killed in the ensuing gun battle, ensuing firefight, whatever you want to call it there. Murder is what it really was. And yeah, all 3 of his piece of shit murderers got life terms now is what it was here in Ohio, which, again, this is why Ohio needs firing squads. Every single one of those pieces of shit should be a fucking firing squad, definitely right now is what it is. So, anyway. But yeah, if we want to have capital punishment, if we want to have true justice in this country, it's time to actually implement the most hardcore death penalty sentences for murderers and stuff in this nation, and do what needs to be done. Take care of the fucking trash in our society is what it is then, dude. End of story. Stop feeding these people for decades of their lives. Stop allowing them to be wasting taxpayer resources in a prison cell. Just put a fucking bullet in their heads and bury them in a fucking pauper's grave and be done with it. And it's that simple, literally. So, anyway. On that note, that's where we're going to be at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this stream. I'll see y'all on the next one. I'm sure we'll get more updates about how staged and fake and gay that Omar's bullshit stage fake and gay attack on herself was in the coming days. But we already pretty much know what happened there. We already got all the various stuff coming out about the guy having like left-wing nutter kids and a left-wing nutter wife or ex-wife or whatever it is there. So yeah, I think the whole thing was definitely staged. Because, like I said, to me, like it couldn't be more staged, dude. Like, because if you're really gonna spray her with like some kind of accelerant, or whatever the case be, dude, why the fuck wouldn't you have had syringe in one hand and then some kind of a ignition device in the other hand, like whether it be a pack of matches or a lighter or something? And if you're spraying her with like gas or whatever the case be, like pretty sure you're just gonna human torture ass at that point. But the fact that you didn't, like, just shows how staged and fake it is, dude. So, but anyway, yeah, the whole thing just feels like a setup, especially when you see like little head nod that she does, like right at the guy, like right before he gets up, and then sprays her with the fucking wrench of shit. So, and then also the fact that Omar herself refused medical treatment after the fact, and it's like, yeah, because she knew exactly what was in the syringe, dude. She knew it was probably some mixture that she made up and gave the guys, my guess, honestly. So, anyway. But yeah, on that note, though, that's what we'll be at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you all on the next one. Like I always say, always be carrying, be safe, be vigilant, all that good stuff. And make sure to keep warm this coming week because, you know, there's definitely another storm coming. Who's to say where it's going to hit, and we might all be fucked when it's all said and done. So, on that note, really just stay alive is what it is, man. Stay alive for the coming fight to be had this summer is what it is then. So, anyway, I will see y'all on the next one. Peace out. Later.